disgusting. You're shameful. You need to grow up. Or get born again or something. Because you got a problem. You've got a problem. Warren McGrew, young guy, the idol killer, theological buffoon, disgusting and vile. Crawl under a rock and never come back out.
James said I'm dangerous, disgusting and wild.
Warren McGrew.
And called me a cult leader, reprehensible and vile. A theological buffoon who needs born again. But thanks for the kind words, hope we can still be friends. I'm not here to flatter, not here for peace. I break the golden calves you polish every week. And I'm done with your system built on fear and control. Your gospel's a prison, Christ came to make us whole.
He's Joseph Smith, but smarter. I mean, this guy could start a cult. That's how cults get started. There is not a scintilla of honesty in what Warren McGrew said. Look, Warren, you keep going down this road. In no longer than 15 years, you will not be claiming any kind of Christian faith at all. He's not a stupid man, so he's just a massively dishonest one. How deranged. Absolute foolishness. I've never heard anything more stupid in my life.
Matt said I'm a heretic, a Pelagian deceit.
You're a Pelagian. You're a heretic.
No. Said I can't know the truth still. I'm made to believe. Refuse to answer questions. Said he'd teach me off the air.
I have a Master's of Divinity from the Calvinist Seminary.
He's got a master's degree. It's knowledge he will lend.
Tell you what, you want to have a serious Bible study about it sometime?
Oh, thanks for the kind words. Hope we can still be friends.
Obviously, he sits around, he spends most of his time sitting around trying to come up with the most outrageous things.
Now some in the comments just parrot what they've heard. Repent, you false teacher, you twist the holy word. You echo James and Matt like they're apostles sent to cleanse. Well, thanks for the kind words. Hope we can still be friends.
I have respect for James on some things. Like, I know some people find that shocking.
I love you, man. I forgive you, sir.
You're a Pelagian.
I still love you and forgive you, even though you're bearing false witness. Let's go on.
You know, people say, well, you know, we need to have niceness in our conversation. You can listen to that and then tell me I need to be that way? Okay, well, seems only goes one direction, doesn't it? Yeah.
Well, hello and welcome to Idol Killer, a ministry dedicated to destroying sacred cows for the cause of Christ and introducing you to the holy and living God of Scripture. I am your humble host, Warren McGrew, and funny thing happened on the way to my debate with Redeemed Zoomer. It got canceled. It's kind of frustrating. I've been a little preoccupied. Is that a hair on my shirt? I don't have cats. I'm just getting old, and I'm the one shedding. Look at that. Come on, take better care of yourself. I haven't been on the internet here in a while. I've been busy with life, and producing a response to the upcoming. I have an upcoming response to Todd Friel and his take on penal substitutionary atonement. Paul Vonderty, I'm not going to go into details. Paul Vonderty and I have been cooking up a little something special. That's going to be releasing, Lord willing, next Monday, Tuesday-ish. If I can polish all the edits, we're going to have those start dropping pretty regular. So we've been actively working behind the scenes here on some rather big projects in conjunction with just doing life, and trying to squeeze in some time to prep for my debate with Redeem Zoomer. And it's funny that this debate came about because, thank you guys. Camera and mic. Camera mic. Is it? Okay. I'm sorry, guys. There we go. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard. It continually defaults to my webcam instead of my microphone. Is that better? Did I fix? Can somebody let me know if I corrected the audio? Did that fix it? Give me a thumbs up. We good? Okay, cool. All right. Awesome. Sorry about that. Again, StreamYard, I'll set it up, and every time I log in, it just changes it. Yeah, so where was I? Oh, yes, I was back in June, I think it was. Redeem Zoomer went on JP Uncut's channel, and and I saw him on there, and I hadn't seen anything bad about Redeem Zoomer. I mean, he's a younger guy, no knock there. I would gladly give up my years for a little bit of youth. Totally fine with that. I don't disparage the youth. I do think that there's an unhelpful trend where people with a lot of zeal are taking to roles of teaching that still need to be taught. So I definitely think there needs to be Christian discipleship, and I've argued this. It's not. I'm not picking on Redeem Zoomer. I'm glad to see young men that profess faith in Christ actively out there promoting Christianity, or at least their conception of it. Whether they're preaching it out of the sincerity of their heart or some other motive, Christ is being taught, right? So I'm grateful for it. But I saw him on JP's channel, and somebody was saying, "Hey, you should debate Redeem Zoomer," because I think I was in the side chat interacting with him, and I said I'd be happy to. And Marlon Wilson was on there in the side chat. He runs the Gospel Truth channel. Marlon is a Calvinist, and I've been on his program multiple times debating Matt Slick, numerous people. Originally, he was going to have me debate Anthony Rogers, but Anthony canceled about a week out and ran away. And then I was like, well, you had a family thing. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Let's reschedule. And he's like, no, you're low tier, and I'm not going to honor my word. Okay, cool. Tried to be understanding, and he just wanted to be a Calvinist, But I was engaging with Redeem Zoomer and Marlon in the chat back in June, and I said, "Hey, let's see if we can't get something happening. I mean, that'd be fun to debate Redeem Zoomer." I didn't realize he was as big as he was at the time. I thought he had like maybe 100,000 subscribers. I didn't realize he was, approaching Mike Winger levels of popularity. So I reach out to Marlon, and I'm like, hey, let's set this up with Redeem Zoomer. Here is my proposed format, like 15-minute openings, 5-minute rebuttals, 30-minute cross, 5-minute close, or 10-minute close. Like, I forget the format. And I said, and here's my definition of total depravity, and here's my proposed proposition. Redeem Zoomer can defend total depravity is true. Let me know if you can set it up. And I also reached out to Donnie Badinsky over at Standing for Truth, because I didn't know who could set it up. And I was like, it'd be fun to debate him. And Marlon got in touch with him and came back and said, hey, I've talked with Redeem Zoomer. And he said he's interested in debating, but he wants to research your definition and make sure that that's something that he can defend. And I said, hey, understood. Sounds reasonable to me. And after a couple days or a day or maybe 3 days, it wasn't a long time. He came back and Marlon said, "Hey, I talked with Redeem Zoomer and he's on board. He's going to defend the definition. He's going to take on the proposition. And I think it was October 9th. I think is what it was. He says, how does October 9th work? And I was like, yeah, works for me. Redeem Zoomer was signed off on it. And next thing you know, we're scheduled to debate Total Depravity is true. Redeem Zoomer taking the affirmative, me taking the negative, and that was all set up. And so, I'm a busy guy. I've got 5 kids. I'm in a very nasty personal thing, trying to protect my kids. I'm in a, you don't need all my Jerry Springer drama, but I've got a lot going on there I'm trying to handle. And then I'm also producing and editing content, and I have a normal job that I'm trying to, be faithful and productive in. And so I'm squeezing in my debate prep as best I can. And I'm going back through, my old arguments and old notes. And I have a list of almost every proof text where total depravity has been claimed to have been found. And I've exegeted those, and I have church father, takes on those. And I have, grammatical studies and, lexical studies. Leighton debated Redeem Zoomer. I think I may have seen that. But anyway, I was studying my notes and trying to condense them, and I'm a little disorganized, so I was looking to see how I could maybe put it into a more of a easily accessed format. But I'm doing all of this, I'm walking and chewing gum at the same time, sort of thing. And as Jamie says, he's just a kid. I don't want to say he's just a kid. I mean, he's very successful. What does he have now? Like 600 and something thousand subscribers. I mean, he's been able to do some impressive things, despite his youth. And so I think that's to be commendable. I mean, that's amazing. So I'd seen a little bit of his interactions and stuff. And while I was prepping for this debate, no, I was a roofing contractor. I lost the company when I went through kind of a Hosea Gomer sort of situation. But that's more of my Jerry Springer drama on the side chat there. What was I saying? Oh, so I'd seen where James White came out and began calling Redeem Zoomer a heretic. And if I recall correctly, implying that he's not even a Christian. And the debate or the disagreement was because Redeem Zoomer said that, among a couple other things, that PSA, penal substitutionary atonement, is a late development and therefore cannot be an essential of the faith. And so therefore we shouldn't say that those who don't affirm it aren't Christians. As a secondary issue, because it's just an atonement theory, not a denial of the work of Christ. It's just a specific understanding for what that work accomplished. And thank you, Jamie. And so James White went on his channel and was like calling him a heretic and attacking him and saying, "We don't say it's a late development. I don't know who you're talking to. We don't claim it's a late development. We've got the Epistle to Diognesis and all these other early church father quotes." And I was like, you responded to me. I'm pretty sure it was a response to me. Not everything's about me. Maybe he responded to somebody else, but I remember this clip where James is actually saying penal substitution is a late model. I think he was actually responding to one of my videos that I did with Paul Vonderty. I may be misremembering this, but I think that's what it was. And so James White said penal substitutionary atonement is a late development, and it came after Anselm and Abelard in 1100 AD. And if you've watched some of my more recent content on PSA, you'll notice that I use that clip pretty regularly. And so here James is actually attacking Redeem Zoomer for taking the same stand that James White took when he was talking to myself, and saying that, no, penal substitution is a late development. But now that Redeemed Zoomer's taken that position, old James is saying, oh, that's heretical. You're a heretic. You're a heretic. And I'm like, really, James? Like this, he's just articulating what you did just 2 years ago? I mean, surely your views didn't change that much. You think you were a heretic 2 years ago, James? But then I started looking at his content, and the very day before he called Redeemed Zoomer a heretic over this, the day before, James White comes out and he says that penal substitutionary atonement is a reformed doctrine. I don't know if you know much about chronological order. Maybe that'll work, right? It's late, and I'm a Texan, and as everybody knows, we have trouble with our pronunciation sometimes. But if you look at the chronological order, the Reformation, that didn't happen too early in church history. That happened, in the 16th century, 1600s, 17th century. It's not an ancient view. So for James to say penal substitutionary atonement is a reformed doctrine after 2 years ago saying it's a late development, but then the very next day turn around and attack Redeemed Zoomer as being a heretic for echoing the same things that James White said, I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. And so I actually released a video over on Idol Killer 2 in which I pointed this out, and I brought receipts, and I showed the videos where James is actually saying the same thing Redeemed Zoomer said, and James is calling him a heretic. And I don't know if it was because James is jealous of Redeemed Zoomer's success. I don't mind admitting that I fight a little bit. There's a little tinge of jealousy when I see those massive subscriber counts. One thing that helps this jealous heart of mine is that YouTube has now prioritized more engagement and watch hours than just subscriber count. So that's how that's what I tell myself so that I can keep the jealousy at bay. It's like, okay, those 600,000 subscribers really don't mean much, right? I mean, yeah, you got a cool silver plaque, and I had to make mine out of cardboard and aluminum, but we're basically the same here, right? But I don't know if it was just that James was jealous of Redeemed Zoomer's success and was attacking him, if he was jealous of his youth, or if he was trying to stay relevant. But it was, in my estimation, wholly hypocritical to go after Redeemed Zoomer. So leading up to the debate, I actually stopped my debate prep, stopped working on everything else that I've got going on, took time away from, my personal life, and I put together a video defending Redeemed Zoomer. And I put that out on Idol Killer 2. And it was so funny because recently a Calvinist came out, and they're like, every time you have a debate, leading up to the debate, all you do is disparage your debate opponents, and you mock them and attack them. And I was like, I do that after the debates based off how they treat me or if they don't show up. But when they're civil, I engage civilly. And when they make silly arguments, I respond. But I don't disparage my opponents leading up to a debate. Where are you getting this from? But a lot of times your critics will just invent things, and then they'll say, well, this must be true because I don't like you and I need a good reason. But I was actually defending Redeemed Zoomer going into the debate. And but I was looking forward to it. And so every few weeks, to promote it, I would post on Twitter or on Facebook, hey, be sure you hit the notification. We've got a really cool debate coming up. And I wanted to have what I hoped would be a civil debate with Redeemed Zoomer. I've never seen, I can't say I've never seen, I don't think I've seen much in the way of his debate performance or a lot of his interactions. I saw a little bit of his content online, but he generally struck me as a fairly charitable, easy person to interact with. And so I was looking forward to this. And I was also looking forward to exposing some of the errors of Total Depravity and hoping that would get out there to his audience, and that they might challenge them and provoke them, and they might go, I need to be a Berean and go investigate these things and see what the scriptures say about, the anthropology of man and Christ and soteriology and Christology and how all these things come together. So I was really looking forward to this. I thought this would be a good thing to really challenge professing Christians to dig deeper into the Word, and so I would promote it. And I guess this was just a few days ago. I get messaged out of the blue on Twitter. I think I just promoted the debate again, is what it was. I just promoted it, and then like 2 hours later, maybe, Redeemed Zoomer messages me, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna have to cancel." I was like, "What? Like, don't cancel. If you have to, reschedule. What's going on?" And he said, "Well, I put out a video. I think it was polemical, critiquing Roman Catholicism, and Roman Catholics were upset." And he's like, "So I got to make a video responding to this." And I was like, "Well, walk and chew gum at the same time. Like, I made a video defending you while I'm prepping for our debate. Like, you can do that. I'm editing a series, and I've got this other stuff I'm working on. Like, you can do that." And he's like, "No, I really can't. You won this round. I'm going to have to bow out." I'm like, "Are you serious?" So I reach out to Marlon, and I'm like, "Hey, it looks like Redeemed Zoomer's canceling and backing out of our debate." And he's like, "Why?" And I said, "He wants to make a video on Catholicism." And so Marlon reaches out to Redeemed Zoomer. Can't get this resolved at all. And by this point, I'm losing any sort of confidence to think that Redeemed Zoomer has enough respect for me, and maybe he doesn't like me. I don't know. I mean, I do a lot of anti-Calvinism, work, so maybe there's some animus there. But even if he doesn't respect me as a debate opponent, he should at least respect Marlon. And I mean, Marlon's a fellow Calvinist, and he's put a lot of work into promoting that debate and getting it up on the channel and making time out of his schedule. And he should have respect for the audience that was looking forward to it. And I think he should have respect for himself and honor his commitments, because he had given his word and committed to doing this debate. And so I was really disappointed in Zoomer over this. I thought, like, if it was a family issue, if it was a sickness, if there was something that was reasonable, like if let's say that I had something like that happen, yeah, I would want somebody to accommodate and go, "I'm sorry, you came down with the flu," or there was a tragedy in the family, or I don't know, maybe your basement flooded, stuff. Life happens. And if the reason to debate is to postpone the debate is legitimate, I have no problem with that. I'll accommodate. But to be told, I need to cancel because I want to make a video on Catholicism after it had been 4 months in the works getting this debate off the ground, was tremendously disrespectful to everyone involved. And I thought, well, I've done nothing but say nice things about Redeemed Zoomer. I don't think I'd said anything mean-spirited or critical. And I mean, I'd released a video defending him. And I was like, why would he do this to me and to Marlon and to the audience? So I was like, it just struck me as a lack of integrity. And I was really disappointed. And I wasn't the only one. I don't know if you've seen Marlon's posts on Facebook and YouTube, but Marlon was more vocal in his disappointment than I was. And so, yeah, I was a little disappointed. But this is the thing that then irked me. There was a Calvinist on Twitter, I want to say for the last year and a half to 2 years. There's a small group of these guys that regard themselves as scholastics, as the authoritative voice on all things Calvinism. So when you respond to R.C. Sproul, they'll, that's not Calvinism. John MacArthur, that's not Calvinism. When you point to Westminster Confession, we affirm that, but not as it's written. We want to nuance that. We want to back that off. Oh yeah, we affirm, Dort, but we want to put our spin on it, to the point where it's like an A but not a sort of argument where they're wanting to have their cake and eat it too. And it's a little frustrating, but that's not uncommon. I mean, how many people have I debated that held contradictory positions? I mean, I probably still hold a contradictory position in ignorance. I'm not aware of it. I know that I've held them in times past. So holding to a contradictory position is frustrating perhaps for somebody trying to engage in it, but it's not unusual. I think it's part of the human experience. But this group was unusually nasty. I had early on in the days of AI, which was what, like 2 years ago? Like, it's weird the way that the world is moving so quickly. I think I'd used AI. I thought I'd gotten it from Google, but I may have gotten it from AI. But at any rate, I cited some quotes from some reform sources and didn't vet them. And people said, "Where did these come from?" And I was like, "Well, I've got the sources here." Well, they went and got the books and looked them up, and they were not finding them. And once I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, maybe I got this off AI instead of Google." So like immediately discount those quotes, regard them as dubious, don't interact with them. Sorry, I've had a really good record on verifying my materials and quotes and sourcing everything, but I think I may have dropped the ball on this one. And so I put out a notice and just said, "Hey, those quotes I posted, don't use those. I think they're dubious." Well, instead of the online guys going, "Hey, thanks for owning up to that. Can happen to the best of us. Weird age we live in. Move on," right? Instead, every opportunity that they had, right, they would do it as a dig. And some days I can handle fingernails on a chalkboard for hours on end. And some days, I don't know if it's the blood sugar, the barometric pressure, or the stress of life, and I don't respond well. And so I tried to engage with them off and on pretty charitably. My best effort at charitable. But after a while, I just was like, this is not a healthy group. And so I blocked them, the majority of them. The reason I'm bringing all this up, when Redeemed Zoomer backed out, he then tried to do a rug pull where he says, "I'm not going to debate you, but that guy over there, go debate him." He'll stand in last minute. I know you've been prepping to debate me, and I know I gave you my word and the moderator's word, and you've been promoting this debate for months. I'm not going to do it. Go debate that guy. And so it seemed like not only was it a lack of integrity on a follow through and honoring his commitment, but it also, in my estimation, came across, and maybe Redeemed didn't mean it this way, but it certainly appeared on the outset to be deceptive to get me to debate somebody that I'd already told them I'm not debating because I don't have a high regard for that person or their opinion. And so I was like, I'm not going to do that. But it was very frustrating because, in my estimation, it was I don't know if rug pull's the right word. I'm going to go with that. I think that makes sense to me. But he cancels and goes, "I'm not going to debate you, even though that's what I told you. I want you to debate that guy." And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And at this point, if we're going to reschedule, I need some sort of assurance that you're actually going to show up, because I'm not going to waste any more of my time. And I have a solution for that, by the way. But then as I was like, I'm not going to debate this guy, I never committed to debate that guy. Then that little internet circle gets together and they're like, "Oh, look, Warren's running." I'm like, "Running? My debate opponent just canceled. And you're wanting me to debate you, and you're saying I'm the one running when my opponent just canceled." But yeah, bait and switch is a good example there. And so it just came across as manipulative and abusive and dishonest and like lack of integrity and lack of character all the way around. And yeah, I'm disappointed. I did want to reschedule, but after I started seeing this stuff going down, again, I go, why should I trust that I'm going to have a debate opponent actually show up or honor his word, given that this just went down the way that it did? And this isn't unique. I've had Anthony Rogers, like I said, agree to debate me on dynamic omniscience. And then, gosh, was it a week or less than a week beforehand, cancel on me? And he goes, hey, I'm having a family issue. And I said, hey, no problem. Totally understand. Family comes before everything, as far as this online world. Take care of them. And when you're ready, I'll accommodate you. Right. I didn't try and dunk on him. I wasn't trying to be rude or disrespectful. I just said, go take care of your family. The debate can wait. We'll get it rescheduled. Then I reached back out. Hey, how's it looking? Are we looking at a specific time? Let's start coordinating. And he ghosts me. I thought, well, maybe this problem's ongoing. No, problem had resolved itself. Reach back out. Finally, he just goes, ha, ha, ha. I know I told you and I gave you my word that I would. And you spent all that time prepping, but you're a back burner guy and I'm not going to waste my time with you. And just completely, again, no integrity, no follow through. And I think it was because he had seen some of my debates that he realized he wasn't going to be able to provide a strong rebuttal. And so, Anthony Rogers ran off. And then, of course, James White would shoot pebbles from a distance, little spitballs from a distance. And then I said, well, hey, let's just debate it. And he's like, I'm not going to debate you on dynamic omniscience. And I said, I'm not going to debate you on total depravity until you get your doctrine of God settled. Citing about dynamic omniscience. I was like, cool, you want to debate that? We can do a 2-for-1. We can do the debates like on a Saturday, Sunday, or like a Friday, Saturday, or, one Saturday and then the next Saturday, however much time you need. What do you want to debate first? Total depravity or dynamic omniscience? And then he's like, I'm not going to debate you. And then I get approached by a church and they're like, hey, we're setting up a debate. We'd like for you to debate James White. We're in talks with him right now. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And then I get the call. James said that he won't even shake your hand or speak to you. He really doesn't like the whole pointing out that he affirms infant damnation. He doesn't like anything about me. Like, as far as the people out there that hate me, you have the devil, you have my ex-wife, and then you have James White. So that's kind of the ranking, right? But James does not care too much for me, and so he would not honor the church's desire to see us debate one another, and so I'm seeing this pattern where, like, I'll put all this work into it, or I'll get excited and I'll try and make it work. And somebody's saying he ghosted him too. And so then I get this cancellation at the last minute. And now with Redeemed Zoomer pulling this for an excuse that, in my estimation, is on the same level of, I'm sorry I can't debate you after promising for 4 months I need to wash my hair that evening. You go, I mean, Calvinists, and I don't mean somebody on the internet that nobody knows who you are, but I mean like well-known, popular level, respected to varying degrees, Calvinists who affirm these views. Where are you? Like, who's going to debate these issues anymore? Now, I will say, and I thought Redeemed Zoomer might be in this same category, but like Gavin Ortlund. Gavin is an online Calvinist who I have tremendous respect for, despite disagreeing with him on almost everything. But he just comes across very Christ-like and ecumenical, and I disagree with him on almost everything, but I can't help but really like Gavin. So, maybe Gavin might do some debates, but he has more of like the scholarly pastor sort of approach. And I'm just wondering where the Calvinist debaters, James White right now he's trying to find and line up, the easiest debates that he can get. He tried to get an easy win with Tim Barber on dynamic omniscience and got utterly destroyed. And so then he said that the reason he lost to Tim Barber was because he prepared too much. Not James, because James said to respect the audience, he didn't prepare, and Tim didn't respect the audience because he prepared too much, which is asinine. It's the I can't think of a worse excuse to give on why you lost the debate. But I'm just wondering where the Calvinists are that are doing, the Calvinist apologetics, that will step into the ring and debate Tulip, will debate their view of sovereignty, of election, of predestination, their view of theistic determinism and the singular, eternal, pre-creation, divine decree of whatsoever comes to pass. Like, where are those popular level guys? And, for a while there, I was thinking they might come out of like the G3 movement, but that's more like that pastorly type. But I don't think there are very, very many in that niche. And I can't think of any, but it doesn't mean that they're not out there. I don't mean to disrespect if they're there. But I'm not aware of them. And so I was like, well, do I keep debating? I mean, like, I don't want to debates take a lot out of me, guys. It's a lot of prep. It's a lot of effort. And it gets a little bit exhausting. And, I have to think about this, and I have imaginary conversations. Like I'm going, okay, well, if I say this, what are the ways that he could respond? And I'm having to, so it's like, it's very taxing. It's mentally exhausting. And then you go through the debate and it's like a mental marathon, because you're always having to pay attention. You're having to be one step ahead, dialed in. And then when it's over, you just feel drained, and I needed like a week's vacation just to recover from these sort of debates. Just from the 3 to 4 hours that you're involved in that debate, it just gets really exhausting. And so I was thinking, well, these guys will accept debates, will promote debates, and then cancel last minute. So what can I do moving forward if I want to continue these sorts of debates? What can I do to ensure that this sort of stuff doesn't happen anymore? And so I think where I've arrived at, and I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So I'm going to hold myself to the same standard. But I think in order to move forward with formal theological debates, is that I'm going to insist that myself and my opponent are both contractually bound to put down a down payment. And it'll fluctuate based off of how much time we think is needed to prepare what we both believe is reasonable as a penalty. But there'll be exclusions in there. So if somebody gets sick, if there's a family emergency, something that's reasonable and can be postponed and rescheduled, then like no penalty. But I think otherwise what you do is you have both participants put down a deposit. And it could even go into an account that the moderator oversees or a trusted third party could oversee. So, I put down 500, they put down 500. I put down 1,000, they put down 1,000, whatever it is. And then if I don't show and I come up with a really lame excuse, like I was washing my hair that day, well, then they get at least compensated for their time that they invested in either promoting the debate, prepping for the debate. And it also includes that there's skin in the game, so that I'm not just having an ego, but I'm also financially motivated to show up. And when I say me, I mean them. But yeah, I think if I say, hey, we're all going to put down, you put down $1,000, I'll put down $1,000, and Marlon can hold it, right? I trust Marlon. Why not? Or Donnie Badinsky can hold it. And then if you don't show up and your excuse is pretty lame, and maybe the way that we determine whether or not the excuse is legit or not is you do like a community poll or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. But I think there needs to be real consequence for a lack of integrity and just backing out at the last moment. I think there needs to be real consequence for this. And yeah, earnest money. And again, it's not something that I'm going to say, oh, you put down $1,000 and, and I'll grace you with my presence. It's like, no, we're both gonna commit to a deposit we think is reasonable. And then if one of us doesn't show and it's for a non-legitimate excuse, then you get the other person's deposit. If you both show up, then the deposit's refunded and you get your money back and they get their money back and everybody honored their agreement. And that's, just what you do moving forward. But I think that's where you need to go, given the frequency with which I'm seeing debate opponents back out last minute. And thank you, Stephen. I appreciate that. Not sure why you said never change, Warren, followed by a laughing emoji. Now I'm getting insecure and a little paranoid. Check for boogers. No, okay. I don't know why you're laughing at me. I'm a serious individual. But I think that needs to be done, because otherwise people just back out. And I don't want to continue debating I don't want to say this in a bad way. I'm trying to figure out the nice way of saying it. I don't want to debate for the sake of debating, and I don't want to just debate anybody that disagrees with me off the internet. I want to go up against the best that my opposition has to offer. And I'm not the world's greatest debater. I'm not. When a debate's over, for 3 months, I'm thinking, why didn't I say this? Why didn't I think about this? Like, why am I not sharper on my feet? Why am I not quicker? Like, why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I go to that note? I'm not the best debater. I'm very well prepared. And I think my arguments are really sound, but I'm not the best debater. But I do think that I want to take on the best that my opposition has to throw at me. And so I want somebody that is competent, capable, and well-known and respected. Because if we're going to bring this clash of different ideas and different views, then I think you want to bring the largest audience that you can there, not just simply for numbers, but so that people can, the most amount of people possible can be challenged to be Bereans. It's not good if my mom and my debate opponent's mom are the ones watching. That's not going to accomplish anything. You know what I mean? Oh, son, you did so good. We're not going to move the needle there. But if we have a debate and you've got 10, 15, 20,000 people tuning in, or 100,000 people, whatever, the bigger the platform, I think the better good that can come out of that. And so that's where I'm looking to go. So I think you're going to see actually a lot less of, thank you. I appreciate that, Soup. That's very kind of you. Says I'm a good debater. Thank you, Jew and Greek. I see that. But I think that's where I'm going to have to go, because I also want to continue focusing on creating really good content for Idol Killer. I don't know if you guys have seen some of my more recent videos. I've tried to step up the production quality. I've tried to make sure that things are tightly scripted, well formatted, well executed. The editing is on point. I'm trying to take everything to the next level. And that requires a lot of effort and time. And so I don't think I'm going to be able to do that high level of execution consistently and then engage in a debate every month. I just don't think I can do that. So I'd really hope that I was going to be able to debate Redeem Zoomer. And then I had 2 or 3 other people out there, not all Calvinists, different topics that I thought I might debate. I don't think it's any secret anymore that I was supposed to debate Michael Brown this last spring on penal substitutionary atonement, but then everything that went on with there and the controversy surrounding that didn't manifest, didn't occur, kind of fell apart. I think some people are trying to get that back on track now. That could be a really fun debate. But generally, I don't think I'm going to be doing too many more debates. Honestly, I don't think the caliber and the criteria that I'm looking for exist anymore. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm gonna continue focusing more and more on the content for Idol Killer, more series, and I also want to put forward more positive claims. I've done work on, like Molinism, where my disagreements are on there, pro arguments for dynamic omniscience. I've done work against the anthropology of Rome and the Reformed, and I've done arguments for the anthropology of the early church and orthodoxy. And so, like, I'm trying to be balanced in this. And a lot of where you get the most engagement is in those responses. So like if I do a response to Allie Beth, people tune in because they see her in the profile and they go, what's this? Somebody disagrees with her? This is interesting. And so those are helpful for the channel. Or I put, an argument against James White or Todd Friel and the claims they're making. That's going to get engagement. But I also want to continue putting forward positive, pro, biblically sound, historically sound, and grounded positions. And I think those are going to get a lot less views if I'm being transparent. But I think they're important to put out there. And I want to edify my audience, and I want to edify the body of Christ, and I want to have an immediate and long-lasting impact for the kingdom of God. I don't want to just be the guy going, oh, that's the guy that debated everybody and was a jerk, right? I want people to go, oh, that's the guy that debated everybody. Sometimes was a little crazy on Twitter, but generally was a nice guy. Like that's kind of where I'm at now. And I hope that's where I'm at now. And so I think what you're going to see is I might have a few more debates left in me, depending on what we can pull off. But I don't see the theological debate arena like it was even 3 years ago. I think it's oversaturated, and I think that there's so many voices that people have just grown to tune it out. Now, there are certain personalities that people like to watch, right? Like you got Andrew Wilson out there who'll like smoke like a chimney and drop F-bombs and curse people out. And, people find that fascinating. And you see what's going on in his audience. I mean, his channel has just exploded. We had him on the channel, I think a year or two ago. And I think he had maybe like 16,000 subs when I brought him on. It wasn't nothing. Now he's just exploding. So he owes his success to me, is what I'm trying to say. And, but you've got personalities that people like to watch. They like the way that they argue, or they just have shock value, or there's something about them. And it becomes more of a sport where you go, oh, okay, yeah, this is my favorite baseball player. This is my favorite basketball player, and I like to root for them. Or like UFC or WWE or whatever it is, that's the guy I like to root against. So I'm going to tune in and just root against him. And I don't like that about the modern debate era that we're in. I don't like the celebrity or the team mindset. But I understand it. And it's like I'm part of the problem in a sense, because I want to take on those well-known people, because I want that audience to do the biggest good that I can do. But I think that is teetering out. And now what you're seeing is just a lot of, salad bar type buffet type Christians debating. And I don't know. The debate arena might come back. You may see a resurgence as another generation comes in and comes up, and things can change so quickly. I'm not really sure where the future will take us with that. But regardless, so Kevin, you're asking, why did Zoomer cancel? He said he wanted to make a video against Catholicism. Now, I'm making videos while prepping for the debate. I told him he can walk and chew gum at the same time. But I don't know. I have to fight being sarcastic and condescending. Like that's where I tend to go. So I'm trying to rein that in. I'm trying to walk in humility and a state of repentance and be Christ-like in all of my dealings. I'm a work in progress, just like everybody else. So I'm trying not to go there in this response. To say that I am disappointed and that I feel as though there's an integrity issue, I think would be an understatement. To say that I'm frustrated with what I think was a bait and switch, where, yeah, I'll debate you for 4 months, and then last minute, I'll go debate this guy. I think that's a bit problematic. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I have some really good content, like I said, I'm working on right now that I think will maybe raise a few eyebrows and get people thinking and go, "Ooh, I like this. This is interesting," or "This is presented in a way I hadn't thought about before." But that's what happened. At the very last minute, Redeemed Zoomer backed out of our debate, said he wanted to make a video responding to Catholicism, and blew off the whole kit and caboodle. Had no regard for what Marlon had invested in it or what I had invested in it, or even his own commitment. And a lot of people, saw that and they were like, "Oh, it's that Gen Z generation." I was like, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's it. I think you have integrity issues in every generation, and you have people that are willing to stand by their commitments in every generation. So I don't see it as a Gen Z, and I don't deal with a whole lot of Gen Z guys. Sometimes I forget how old I am. Until I wake up and try and get out of the bed in the morning, and then everything's kind of cricking and cracking, and I'm like that cereal snap crackle pop every morning, But I don't think it's a generational thing. I think it's more of an individual, and that's possible. Soup says that he thinks Redeemed Zoomer got scared, and it is more than likely that in part of his preparation for the debate, he was looking at some of my work on it, some of my past debates, and said, "I don't have an answer for this." Now, leading up to a debate, if somebody canceled and said, "Hey, full transparency, I was looking into this, I don't have an answer for this," I don't think I'm going to be able to do my side justice in this. And I would either need more time to prepare or just bow out. Like, that would at least make it soften the blow a little bit, where he's like, "I'm not going to concede the issue. I just got to look into it. I don't have a good answer, so I'm going to back out." That's kind of like, softens it a little bit. I don't know if that's the issue or not. It could have just been, he wanted to play Minecraft and he wanted to do a video on Catholicism, and Marlon and I didn't rank anywhere on that radar. Or it could be that, he was nervous and backed out. Or it could be that, the whole plan all along was to get me to debate this other, Twitter guy. I don't know, but I wasn't pleased. I tried to handle it. As tactfully and as well as I could. If you've seen me on Twitter, that's kind of like the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. That's the Mr. Hyde. Twitter brings out the Hyde in me. And so I'm trying to do a lot less work on Twitter because I don't like that version of me over there. It's a cesspool, and it brings out the worst in everybody. So the people that I think are jerks over there probably in real life aren't that bad. It's just something about that platform. It just makes you nasty. It does me, and I don't like that. So I'm trying to do less stuff on Twitter. And but yeah, he just backed out, and I was not happy, and Marlon was not happy, and a lot of people that were wanting to watch that debate were not happy. But it is what it is. It's a free country. He's able to figure out where he wants to invest his time or not. And we don't have to like it. We can disagree with it all day long, but it is what it is. The downside of it all is not only do we not have a debate, but then we don't have like the debate reviews or the debate commentaries. And that's always the funner part for me, is the hindsight, where you're looking back and you'll be like, oh, look, he said something there, or I should have said something there. I think that's the more entertaining aspect of it, at least for me. But yeah. Let's see, somebody's asking, why was it an emergency to address Catholicism? It's been around for centuries. My understanding was that RZ had released a video criticizing Catholicism, and some Catholics were pushing back and were no slam. I don't think I took your wrench, did I? I need to figure out how to make you a mod again, Slam. But yes, Anthony backed out. Where was I saying? See, I'm getting old. I see a squirrel and I get distracted. What were we saying? It's all your fault, Slam. You just distracted me. So no, what he did was he made this video on Catholicism, and some of the Catholics were objecting, and I think they were saying that many of his arguments were faulty and problematic and were given pushback, right? Okay. That doesn't mean you have to cancel the debate in order to answer that video. It'd be very easy to put out a tweet and say, hey, I've got a video I'm working on right now. I have a debate coming up. That video will come out after the debate, and I'll address, X, Y, and Z. The only thing I can think of is that he was so concerned with writing the algorithm that his commitment to this debate was basically non-existent. It was more of maybe he was just so committed to the algorithm. He's like, hey, look, traffic spiking, views are spiking. I've got to ride that wave, and this is a non-event. And so later, maybe that's what was going on. I don't know. Coke Zero is better than Diet Coke. I don't know. No, I think if I'm going off Diet Coke, I'm going to get on just plain old Dr. Pepper. That's what I'm doing. Or Coca-Cola, bottled from Mexico, where they use actual sugar. That's the best. Costco sells that. Love that. Trinity Radio pays better. What are we going on? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Twitchy says he'll debate me. Twitchy will say Psalms is teaching theistic determinism. And then I'll point out and say, no, that is Hebraic fetology. And he'll say, there's no way you're getting that from the text. And I'll say, well, John Calvin even agreed with me on this, or I'm agreeing with John Calvin. This is Hebraic fetology. And early church fathers argued the same thing. And look, there's a clear teaching of this. And look, there's clues in the text that we can draw from this. There's nothing here that would indicate this is exhaustive theistic determinism. And he goes, well, I disagree. Well, then he goes and he looks it up and he comes back and was like, well, you were right on that point, but I disagree with all them and you. And it's like, okay. I'm not interested in that kind of debate. Yeah. So again, I want it to be a well-known, popular defender of a particular doctrine, like maybe Michael Brown and penal substitution. That would get me back into the debate arena. William Lane Craig debating God's omniscience would get me into the debate arena. I mean, I swear I'd never debate him after the way that he's behaved. But if I could line something up with James White, I would have to consider it just for the good that I think I could do out of that. There's just a handful of people that could bring me back into the debate arena after the frustrations that I've encountered with people backing out and running off. You know what, Slam? I got some Topo Chico, and I love that stuff, and I need to get back on it. I love the sparkling water. That lime Topo Chico is so good. Yeah, I would love to debate somebody well known and respected on penal substitutionary atonement, and that's a very difficult topic. I don't know. I don't think I've debated. I haven't had a formal debate on PSA. To be completely transparent, that would be the debate that scares me the most, because I have a ton of research and notes and prep on total depravity laid out and fairly well organized for being able to go through it and sift through it in a debate setting. Although I have a ton of information on penal substitution, it's all in script form, and it's all in like unorganized notes for videos where I've got a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. So if I was going to debate penal substitution, it would take a lot of organization and getting my thoughts in order and digging into it. That would take a lot of work. And when originally we were going to debate Michael Brown on that in the spring, I told him, I was like, give me 6 months, at least 6 months to prepare for that. And then I want to say 45 days after we agreed on it, and we didn't even have a firm date, it was just spring, then that kind of fell apart. So I didn't even put a whole lot of effort into that debate given that. But that would be a debate that would give me a lot of concern. Not that I'm in the wrong on it, but that I want to make sure that I'm speaking confidently on everything from Genesis to Revelation, understanding Leviticus properly and getting the sacrifices right, and having all of those I's dotted and T's crossed. I'm a bit of a obsessive compulsive perfectionist when it comes to that sort of thing. So that debate would give me a lot of concern. Yeah, top priority. I know that. I talked with George about PSA and the arguments. I like George. I'm not going to comment beyond that. I'll just say I like George, but I don't plan on debating him. But yeah, so we've got more content coming out. We've got a response to Todd Friel's wackadoodle claims on penal substitutionary atonement, which was like he had taken and twisted and created a knot so tight that when I watched it, I was like, I may not be able to unravel this thing. And I'm editing it currently. And if I don't condense it down, it would be probably a 2.5 hour response. And I don't have that in me. So I'm trying to be a lot more precise, and I'm trying to keep it around 45 minutes to an hour, whittling that content down while keeping the bulk of the response there. And then Paul Vonderty and I, like I said, we have a series that's about to drop, 6-part series that I think people are going to find very interesting. And I think there's a few episodes there that may be our best work that we've ever done together. So I'm very, very proud of what we were able to put together. But I'm out here. I'm working. I'm doing my best to get it together. Y'all be praying for me. Lift me and my kids up in your prayers. If you want to know what I'm going through, read Job, read Hosea. It's been difficult, but God is good. It's like somebody was asking me, they're like, how are you holding up? And I said, well, I've lived in the fiery furnace so long. I've got my mail forwarded there. But the 3 Hebrew children, they came out without the smell of smoke on their clothes. And so I'm hoping the same will be true for me and mine. But it's exhausting. It's tiring. This has been a war since 2022. And when it began, I'd already been fighting to save something that probably should have never been saved. And I was paper thin and I was on the verge of just disappearing. And so I think in many ways, going through what I went through, I think in many ways saved my life. I mean that sincerely. But it's been the hardest thing I've ever had to endure and go through. And as a father, you want to be there and protect your kids at all the time. And when they're little, you just think I'm going to be able to do that. And you go, well, I'll raise them in the way they'll go. And then when they're older, then I can trust the Lord with them. And I can trust, that they're going to set out the way that I've raised them. But when they're little and you're trying to protect them, and you can't, it's a horrific thing to face. But you go, well, Lord, I'm going to trust you to redeem this. Right now it's nothing fatal. It's nothing fatal. It's incredibly serious and could be life altering, but you just have to go, Lord, I'm going to trust you to redeem this. I'm doing everything I can. I'm fighting with everything that I've got, but I'm just going to trust you to redeem this. And that's just, it wears you down. I don't know if you guys can see it in me. I'm so tired. One of the things that I'm going to do, though, is on the other side of this, I'm going to create another platform and another channel. I'm committed to doing this, but I want to help men that have gone through what I've gone through and help them with some of the lessons that I've learned and some of the resources that I've gathered. And I want just to bring that to the Lord and let him redeem that and use that to be healing and a blessing to other men. The self-deletion, I guess that's the term that we can use on here. The self-deletion rate for men that have gone through this sort of thing is incredibly high. And I think if I was a Calvinist, I don't know. I don't think I would have survived it. But God is good, and I trust him in this, and I know that it's his love that is long-suffering and allowing these things, and that he can redeem the harm that we are witnessing, and that he loves even the perpetrators. And so it makes it a little bit more bearable. But I want to bring this to the Lord and let him redeem this and use this for something good for him. And to be a blessing for other men that have gone through this. So on the other side of this, maybe by spring of 2026, I'm hoping all this will be resolved. But I was hoping this would have been resolved in 2022. It just continues to get worse. So I don't know. We need reform, and we need Jesus to come. But yeah, just be praying for me. I wish I could go into more detail. When you're in the middle of something and everything you say can affect the outcome, you have to keep things really close to the vest. And so you're speaking in code and terms, and I tend to wear my heart on my sleeve and be very transparent and just be like, yeah, this is what I'm dealing with. People that know me will call me up and, hey, what are you going through? We'll sit and talk for an hour, and I'll just tell you. I've been operating with integrity. I didn't do anything to sin. I didn't do anything to break the law. If anybody's worried about that, I'm very leave it to Beaver. If anything, I'm too much of a good boy. That's the one thing I've learned through all this is when you're. This is one thing that Christian men need to know. I'm going to go off on my tangent. Save this for the second program I'm putting together. But one of the thing that I realized was, as Christian men, maybe my generation, I don't know, but we're raised to think that love conquers all. And if you just love, if you just crawl up on your cross and you just die and you die to yourself and you're loving the other person, that ultimately love will win. And nobody set me down and said, hey, Warren, you don't get more loving than Jesus, who was actually crucified, not metaphorically. So stop being a martyr. But look how many people reject him. It doesn't always have a happy ending. Doesn't mean love failed. It means that flawed people rejected the one thing that they needed. So if people reject Christ, it's not that Jesus failed. It's that the victory that he had was rejected. The healing, the loving, the restoration that he had was rejected. And I think, some of my followers are hateful. Robert, I don't know what you're talking about there. I've got a lot of people on here. I just saw that comment out of the corner of my eye. I don't know who you're talking about or what, but thank you for that, I guess. But yeah, so I want to start a ministry that is dedicated towards helping men through this. And I want to use what I've learned and the platform and the tools that I've gained here at Idol Killer and the connections that I have to create a safe place for men to be vulnerable, to get the Christian discipleship that they need, to get the counseling and the support and everything that they need, not just for themselves. And I shouldn't say just for themselves, but they need to have a right mindset and they need to have a right understanding of the way that they need to go about this, but also so that they can become the kind of fathers that their children deserve. So that's ultimately. Oh, Roddy says he's been attacking people all night and now he's insulted. He's being proven wrong. Oh, he's a Calvinist. Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. So I'm going to work to bring this to the Lord and hopefully he can turn something beautiful into this. I remember when I was in high school, one of my good friends was like, my whole life has been a, expletive, pile of crap. He's like, my whole life's been a pile of crap. And I told him, I said, I grew up on a farm. And I said, some people just see manure, but people with a vision see fertilizer. And God can take that manure and he can grow something beautiful out of it if you trust him with it. And it's not necessarily the best Hallmark card, but I do believe that God can take this manure that we've gone through and turned it into something for his good. And it can be a blessing to others that have gone through it. So I want my life to have a purpose. I want to be a blessing to my children first and foremost. I want to be a blessing to other Christians, and I want to be a light to those that don't know him. And I want to help those that are hurting. And I want to have an impact on the kingdom. And I want the devil and the forces of darkness to have their impact not just mitigated, but I want the attack that they've brought against me to be used by the Lord in such a magnificent way that the devil that the devil regrets ever starting that war in the first place, because he sees the good that the Lord has brought out of it. That's that I want. I want this to be a lot of manure turned into fertilizer, and something beautiful grows out of this. And what I've noticed is in the Christian's walk, there's a lot of death. There's death to the self. There's death to various relationships. There's death to various conceptions. But there's also this rebirth and this renewal. And as we grow and become more like him, we're dying to that aspect of us that isn't. And so we're slowly being transformed more and more into his image and likeness as we follow him in that. And it can be painful, but it can also be beautiful. Even in the midst of struggle and in the midst of pain, in the midst of sorrow, it can be beautiful. So that's what I'm up to, you guys. Trying to turned some manure into fertilizer, trying to get Calvinists who agree to debate me to show up, and trying to grow Idol Killer and create some really good content for you guys. And like I said, probably spring of 2026, you'll be seeing me launching, Lord willing. Kevin says, since you don't have a debate, maybe you can get your videos up on podcast format. I would love for somebody to take that burden off me. Honestly, Kevin, can I nominate you? I mean, I'd be happy to get you whatever you need in order to do that. I mean, I'm cool with it. I can edit the audio intros and outros, and I just need somebody to slap them on at the beginning and at the end and then upload it. So if somebody has that and wants to do that, I'll be happy to support any way that I can. Well, thank you so much, Jew and Greek. I appreciate that, Rod. Yeah, so I'm gonna. Have you watched the recent debate, Hunter Kirby, Renfro on penalty? No, I have not seen that. I'll have to give that a watch. But yeah, so we've got some really cool content I'm working on. I'm going to try and get that out. Probably the Todd Friel might be Monday, and then the episode 1 with Paul Vonderty might be Tuesday-ish if I can pull that off. But we got some good stuff coming up. I was disappointed about the debate. I was disappointed with Redeemed Zoomer's justification and actions. And not as a slight, but he is young, and there is an opportunity for him still to learn and to grow. And so while part of me wants to attack Redeemed Zoomer for, not having integrity and backing out over weak excuses, and at the same time, I also want him to know the holy and living God of Scripture. I want to destroy those sacred cows in his life so that he can walk closer to the Lord. So I don't want to just destroy Redeemed Zoomer just simply because he backed out on a debate, last minute. I want a serious reprimand. I want to slap the hand and say, don't do that again. But I want to see him, grow closer to the Lord as well. It's what that I want for all of us. And so, if you came here and you were expecting me to just dunk on him all night, sorry, I wasn't able to meet those expectations. I'm ticked. I'm upset. I'm disappointed. But, so is life. It is what it is. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have any questions, concerns, anything like that, I'm doing my best to interact with everybody in the comments below on all of these videos whenever they get posted. Grace, Mercy, Wrath, you're saying, what does Warren need help with? Someone's asking me to strip all the audio out of my videos and put them into podcast format. I have an audio intro. I have an audio outro. I just don't have the time to strip the audio from all my old content, edit those together, and then upload them to the podcast format. So if somebody can strip the audio and edit the intro and outro and upload them to the podcast, that would be the only way I can get it onto podcast format at this time, because I just don't have the time. And I don't know how big of an audience there is for podcasting right now. I think the church split folks said that they saw their podcast audience drop substantially, so they're just doing nothing but YouTube right now. So I don't know, and maybe that was just them. Maybe people don't like Will. So I don't know. But if somebody can look into that and help me, I'd really appreciate it. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Sorry you didn't get the debate that we all wanted. But it is what it is. I don't have control over that. Marlon doesn't have control over that. And it'll be okay. Just pray for me. Pray for my children. Pray for our situation. Pray for Redeemed Zoomer. And God is good. And I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Have a good night.
Putting on Christ is not one among many jobs a Christian has to do, and it is not a sort of special exercise for the top class. It is the whole of Christianity. Christianity offers nothing else at all. C.S. Lewis.